Hello everybody and welcome back to part 2 of Drugstore Week. I hope you've been enjoying it so far. If you have, let me know below in the comments, that would be lovely. Today I thought I would show you a very flawless, perfected skin routine. So it's foundation, base, concealer and bronzer and a little bit of contouring thrown in there as well. I'm not the best at contouring but I did attempt it. Basically everything you need to know to get a perfect base just using drugstore products. So I hope you enjoy this video and let's get on with the tutorial. So starting off with primer, and I'm using the Max Factor Facefinity All Day Primer. This is a really nice balance between something that's going to help your makeup last for a long time and a very moisturising and balancing product. So I kind of pat it into the areas that I need it most. I keep it mainly around my cheeks and just at the sides of my nose because that's where I tend to get the most oily and my makeup tends to rub off the most there. Choosing a foundation is really important, and my kind of way of thinking is I like to go for the sheerest base as possible and then just top everything up with concealer. So I'm using the Bourjois City Radiance Tinted Moisturiser. This is a nice one because it's very covering, but it still feels very light, it's nice and breathable, and I kind of just dot that onto my face in 5 little dots. I use the buffing brush to kind of work this one in just because I think the formula of this foundation works best with a brush. So rather than using sort of circular motions, I kind of like to press it into my skin, and this just gives me a perfect flawless finish. And I also sometimes go back in with a beauty sponge just to kind of press all that product in, make sure there's no harsh edges, especially around my jawline. And then it's on to concealer, and I'm using 2 concealers today. I'm using this one from Rimmel, it's the Lasting Finish concealer, and it's a very high coverage, very pigmented one. So I take this just in the areas that I need the most covering, so that's underneath my eyes where my dark circles are. So I use a flat concealer brush to pop that on and then blend it in with the warmth from my fingers, and I just really keep it in a minimal area because this is quite a thick concealer, but it does wonders at covering up any darkness under my eyes and also the red patches around my nose, and I do have quite a bit of redness around there, so this concealer works great. And also this is great for pinpoint concealing, and this is my favourite way to cover blemishes. So using a really small, very tiny brush just to pop on the concealer right in the area I need it and then press it in again with my fingers. And I think this really is the way to get a really flawless, very perfected foundation that doesn't look overly cakey, because really you're using very minimal products this way. So onto the second concealer. This one is from Bourjois, it's the Radiance Reveal Concealer, and this is a much more brightening one. So I take this in a kind of V shape underneath my eyes and anywhere that I just want some brightness. So down the centre of my nose, quite far under my eyes, almost onto the tops of my cheekbones. And I am very liberal with this concealer because it's very thin. It blends really nicely, so you can use quite a bit of it. And then I just pop a little bit on my chin and some on the middle of my forehead and blend that in again with a beauty sponge. And you can see this just really brightens up the rest of the area, so all dark circles are completely gone, and then my face just gets a little bit of dimension and lightness by using it all around. And then it's on to contouring, and I am quite a fan of this palette. It's from L'Oreal, it's the Infallible Sculpt palette, and the cream contour in this is such a perfect colour for my skin tone. I don't really use the lighter side, but for the cream contour I just kind of draw a stripe in the hollow of my cheekbone and then pop some onto my forehead as well, and then just blend it all in, and it gives such a subtle finish because it's a very creamy product. It kind of just blends into nothing, but in a good way because it looks super natural. So as I've used a lot of creamy products, I'm going to set that all with powder. This is a loose one from Rimmel, it's the Match Perfection powder, and it's also in translucent, and I find this is really good at setting concealer under the eyes without creasing. So I kind of take that on a sponge and then just press it into the areas that I want to keep in place all day. And I'm not quite baking, I'm kind of just half baking. This is sort of a little half bake trick that I like to do, so I don't leave the powder on. I pretty much just sweep it off as soon as I've applied it. I also put it underneath my contour just to clean that up, and you can see it gives a really lovely chiseled look. This powder is really finely milled, so it does a really good job of mattifying the skin but leaving it looking still very luminous and quite glowy. So I just take the rest of that onto any of my oily patches, mainly on the T-zone, and then I just finish off with some colour, so a little bit of bronzer, a bit of blusher and some highlighter. And this is from the Rimmel Kate contour palette. I really like this one because the shades are very pretty, so I just kind of bronze up my skin with the middle shade and then add a little bit of blush and colour onto my cheeks. This blush is a really pretty pink. And then to finish off, I use the highlighter down the bridge of my nose, which is my favourite place to put highlighter. I think it really defines the shape of your nose, and then along my cheekbones, of course, to add some nice glow there. This highlighter is actually really nice. It's quite dewy and glowy, but it's not overly sparkly. And that is it. That is my before and after flawless foundation routine. I hope you enjoyed watching that, guys, and again I hope you've been enjoying enjoying Drugstore Week. Lots more to come, so keep an eye out on my channel, and I will see you all soon. Bye!